Hi, my name is Cristin. I'm here at the Annex. We are located in New London, Connecticut, 140 State Street. We are here today because we are talking to Jose Serrano, who is our first participant of our Growing Artist Project at the Annex. Thanks to the ARPA, thanks to the Cultural Coalition, we got ourselves a grant. So we are able to fund this project, which is basically a way for us to pay all the artists involved in what goes into curating a show, formulating ideas for a show, bringing it to life, printing your work, monetizing, merchandising, all the fun stuff that happens sort of behind closed doors for us. So I'm super excited today. Jose, thank you so much for being our first participant. We appreciate you. And we're actually talking sort of like in the show happened. It's closed, but it was up from, what was it, May 4th to like June 16th? Yeah. Yeah. So thank you. So tell me a little bit about yourself, your art, who you are, what you do.
I just gotta say thank you for having me. And to tell you about myself is I pretty much lived in London my whole life. I seen it change a lot. I went to school here. Um, I seen it through like where like when I was younger there was a lot of people. And and like after the pandemic, it started dwindling down. Right now, it's a little more quiet nowadays. That's for sure. And what I do is I'm a photographer. Yeah.
Yes.
But I do a lot of street photography at the moment, and but I'm also learning about film, which I'm more inclined to become on the edges of becoming a film photographer. But I still do digital for my portrait works and stuff like that. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So when growing up here, you're right. It's like there's been so many changes to the community. I'm sure you've seen all the waves of New London. And what do you think artistically speaking or creatively, like what was it that kind of pushed you in the direction of doing photography?
um, I was interested in photography back in freshman year of high school. I didn't. It wasn't like as a thought yet, cause more like I thought it was like a pipe dream. But what got me into it was collecting photo booklets from albums, which I can show you real quick.
Yeah, we got to show a little bit of show and tell here, which is fantastic. I did not even prompt the show and tell. You just did it.
Oh yeah. So I listened to a lot of hip hop, and like back then when I was 15, I was collecting albums, and I just loved like the photo books that they come with.
So you used to listen to CDs?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's so cool.
I used to want to collect it because I saw someone collect it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but then I noticed that with the photo books that come with the album,
Oh
it
yeah.
gives the album a character, like a vision of it, which it started inspiring me on photography, in which I took my first photograph at the where Edgerton is, when near Burger King.
Yep.
I used to go to that school when I was little, but when I was 15, me and my friend climbed up on a building, and I took my first photograph ever.
Really?
My first origin of like what it's like to be a photographer.
Wow. So it's like almost like you were in the street as like a photographer, graffiti guy getting up there like, yeah,
Yeah.
someone take this
Yeah,
picture.
yeah. I
Or
used to.
paparazzi,
It's
one of
like
the
something like that.
two. That's so dope.
hmm
So what was the first camera you had or picked up?
My first camera was I got it when I was 18. I didn't know nothing about cameras, but I was just messing around with it. I thought I had a Nikon, but it
Okay.
was like one of those Nikons that had like a big lens. I didn't really understand how to use it back then.
Yeah, like a zoom lens.
Zoom, like you can zoom into the
Yeah.
moon. It was fixed, but it was okay for a starter
Yeah.
because I didn't know, obviously.
Like a DSLR Nikon?
Yeah,
Okay,
I still
gotcha.
have it somewhere. I think it's in my
Yeah.
pop's hand now, but
I wonder what what is it, megapixels or whatever I forget what it's called.
I don't know.
Like 8 or something,
Yeah,
like
something like
super
that.
low.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's probably a good camera for its time,
Yeah.
that's for sure. But then for my second camera, I got a Sony A6. I liked it better than the Nikon,
Mhm.
but still like I was like developing on like what to photograph.
Yeah.
when I first started, was that, the sentiment was like you have to be a portrait photographer.
Mm.
And that's like, the way to be successful. Well, supposedly,
Yeah.
which it's you can say, it can swing for people, but for me, soon as I got like I started like learning more about myself as a photographer, I wanted to venture into different things
Yeah.
than other than portrait photography, because it was during the pandemic where I started taking it seriously. And I know that, like, let's say another pandemic does happen again, which I hope not, but
Right.
but I mean, I don't mind making more,
Yeah.
using more like time off, but
I
but
think everybody feels
yeah,
that way.
yeah,
Everyone who had time off. Yeah.
yeah, but which I hope it doesn't happen, as I said, but it like gave me inspiration to venture into like street photography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just going out, right? It's like at
Yeah.
that time we were so indoors too. It
Yeah.
probably was something to be said for just going outside.
Yeah.
And also it's like seeing places so like desolate,
Yeah.
like buildings and architecture and seeing that. And then it's like, oh, then somebody comes outside and it's like kind of
Yeah.
becomes an art form itself. So it's interesting that perspective
Yeah.
where instead of being like a super busy city where it's like, oh, you're capturing all these people. It's like
Yeah.
you started sort of with a blank canvas of like, there's not that many
Not
people
many.
out.
Yeah.
And then as you developed over a couple of years, then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, you're taking pictures of
Pictures of
people, street
people. Yeah.
photography. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know you had mentioned before, music obviously was a big influence for you.
Influence. Yeah.
What do you go to shows and did
Oh
you
yeah.
start doing music photography?
Oh yeah. That's something I would do too. Definitely music photography is like an idea, because like I feel like album like I want to make album covers, photograph album covers too,
Yeah.
which I have some in my pocket. With like Keela Noor's like song No.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find it on Apple Music or Spotify. But let's say shit. I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
Yeah. But cuz I love music.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just love capturing the moment of shows,
And the energy of being in a
energy.
show,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I got invited to like a few studio sessions with my friends from like Khalik, he's a rapper.
Yeah.
Shahu, he's a rapper.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I known them from high school, but they're really dope.
So while they were recording the album, is that what you're saying? Like
Yeah,
studio
just like
sessions?
like sometimes they invite me to their studios,
Nice.
and I just take pictures of them,
Yeah.
and they love it.
Yeah, and it's cool
Yeah.
because it's different environments.
Mhm.
It's fun that you're like experimenting with
Yeah.
like just the different environments for
Mhm.
photography
Yeah.
because that like what goes into your camera, like everything changes, right?
yeah.
So every single picture you take is like sometimes has a different recipe behind it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. So let's see what kind of cameras you got today. Talk to me a little bit about what they're.
Actually, here, let me start off with the origin one, which inspired me to become a better photographer. The Fujifilm X100V.
And this is film or digital?
It's a
or-
digital camera. So back in 2022,
It's so classic looking. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh yeah, so I got a Fujifilm X100T. I loved it, but it was out of date. But I took a lot of good pictures with it, and like that camera was like the hottest camera at the moment.
Yeah.
But I didn't get it because it was hot. But I got it because like I felt like I would do pretty good with it. And Fujifilm, and I like the Fujifilm brand because they market themselves towards like casual fans of like photography. And I feel like I would say like I'm in photography, just for casualism,
Or you started that way, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, like I love this, like the freedom they give you to like make your own like film recipes and the
Okay.
camera, and their JPEGs are just really good.
Yeah.
Like that's all I use on this camera, and like you can make your own like simulations, like black and white, or turn like your photos purple or
Yep.
something, you can play around with your colors and stuff like that, and you don't need
So
to.
just within the camera itself, not even like
Like,
going to Photoshop or
yeah.
Lightroom or whatever. It's like before you even get there,
Get there, yeah.
you can like already do everything
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I recommend Fujifilm to anyone else
Shout
starting.
out to Fujifilm.
Yeah, I'm not a paid
Brand
sponsor.
ambassador. Not yet.
I would love to. I would take that job.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Yeah. Then I would meet one of my friends. I'll tell you about him later. That got me got me back interested in film again. And another reason too, but I'll
Yeah.
tell you, I'll hold you on that. As a Nikon F2, it's this camera was like one of the second SLRs. I'm pretty sure they used that camera during Vietnam. And there's
Wow.
a story about one of those cameras where the photographer, he got shot at and the bullet ended up stopping his.
The camera stopped the bullet.
Yeah, the camera stopped the
Wow.
bullet. Yeah,
I
I
wonder,
think.
that's probably happened more times than you
Hmm.
think, right? Or
Yeah,
at least back in the day, not
yeah,
anymore.
yeah. That camera is a tank.
Yeah, this is diesel.
Yeah, it feels good too. Like I just, it's just like something that I can't put down.
So let's talk about film a little bit. Yeah,
Hmm.
so share your story. How did you, who was it that got you back into film or introduced you to film?
I got introduced into film by one of my favorite photographers. His name was Valandis. He's a really good photographer based on from Detroit. Like, he's like he lives around like 7 Mile, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
But his like the way he just captures his environment is just like so authentic, and like I just loved every film photo. Even though he's a digital photographer too, but as a photographer, he's amazing. You know,
Yeah,
that's
so the
inspired
film
me.
like spoke to
Spoke to
you
me. Yeah,
differently.
yeah.
What do you think are like, I mean, I know it's like, sometimes people compare it to
Yeah.
like listening to a record
Mhm.
opposed
Yeah.
to like listening to like your AirPods or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, how would you kind of describe the differences between film photography and digital?
Film photography for me feels more authentic, but digital photography also feels like it's more like consumer friendly,
Mm-hmm.
because today's like film is expensive.
Yeah,
Super
yeah, for
expensive.
sure.
But for like what you can get out of the colors, or out of the stocks, it's just amazing. And I just love grain.
Yeah, yeah,
um since I listened to like a lot of 90s hip hop, I'll just love that grain,
yeah,
all those photos,
yeah.
and them records,
So it's almost like you're kind of like seeing the world through a different time frame,
Yeah.
right? It's like allows you
Hmm.
to kind of go back in time
Yeah.
and those like you're saying, like almost like those
Hmm.
natural organic filters.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like, digital filter or
Hmm.
something that's added later. It's like that organic
Yeah.
filter, the
It's
rawness. I mean, it's
it's right
similar
there.
in shooting like
Hmm.
a movie with film. It's like you
Yeah.
can tell the difference when you're
Hmm.
watching the movie. Like
Oh yeah.
and there is something, the depth, I think. It's
Hmm.
like it has it feels different, just the depth of the visual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you obviously get your stuff developed. You don't develop at home.
I
You
would
get it
love to.
developed.
I want to
Yeah.
learn, but it's just because I have pets
Yeah.
and I have my parents. I don't want them like get sick from the chemical smell.
Right, of course. Yeah, yeah.
But if I how you say it? If I did have a chance, I probably would do it.
Yeah.
But
Maybe something to think about, like a shared
mhm.
studio space,
Yeah. Oh
like a
yeah.
community shared
Hmm.
photography development
You
space
know.
would be cool.
You know. You know what's funny? One of my ex girlfriends, she told me one of the buildings up the street
Mm-hmm.
it was like an apartment, but they had like a darkroom studio
Oh,
upstairs all
really?
the
Like
way on the
set
fifth
up?
floor. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was handing out darkroom supplies and film
Oh,
and like
yeah.
film negatives. I took the film negatives. I don't know where they're at now, but
Yeah.
it was a few years ago.
Yeah.
But it was dope because but it's like sad too because it's like that time you can tell like it's like the end of like an era,
Yeah. Right.
and I wish I learned quicker about film
Mm-hmm.
back then, because I probably I could have done something.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's never too late.
Hmm.
It's like definitely, I don't know what the chemical differences are now. I
Yeah.
feel like they must have come
Oh
up with
yeah.
something, but yeah, I think that would be a cool path. I
Yeah.
mean, essentially, a dark room
Hmm.
is almost like an installation now.
Installation. Yeah.
It's like that's definitely something that I
Hmm.
like. I mean,
Yeah.
personally, I took a photography class
Hmm.
in the one semester that I did in
Yeah.
my some college
Yeah.
experience. And I gotta say, it for sure
Hmm.
was like, it felt so magical,
Yeah.
and like I think, as you're going through this journey, as
Hmm.
like your photography journey, it's like you're almost creating more pockets of
Hmm.
understanding.
Yeah.
And one of the things as you were talking, I was thinking about, well, it's like you must have such a better perspective on digital photography
Hmm.
now that you've done film.
Film. Yeah.
It's like working with film and like recognizing all of those little sequences that come
Yeah.
into play. Now, when you go back to digital,
Hmm.
it's like you just gonna see it differently.
Yeah.
Like that's just the way it is.
Hmm.
It's like for you, your visual of like what you see and what you appreciate.
Yeah.
And one of the things we noticed in your show, you
Mhm.
did an amazing job.
Yeah,
Your
thank you.
photography was beautiful. One of the things, like for me personally, I noticed is just your use of light, and the balance between light and dark was
Mhm.
like really, it's like risky. It felt
Oh, yeah.
really risky at times, but it was like in the best kind of a way.
Mhm.
It's like, I don't know if it was natural or you meant to do it, but it's like where all the shadows were
Yeah.
and where the light was,
Mhm.
like that was like, that's what I think is the most moving part about a
Yeah.
photo is, the
Mhm.
light.
What I learned from, like, let's say, like, from my inspirations, like Volandis, William Eggleston, is, like, the use of, like,
Mm-hmm.
natural lighting. I know people love studio lighting, which is cool, but like I use like whatever like shades I can get from the sun, like golden hour or
Mm-hmm.
blue hour, and I make an attempt, to use that to the disadvantage for my photography.
Yeah, you got to work with what you
Or
got,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and I just love like it makes it easier for me because like the lighting is just, like can be perfect because like it's golden,
Yeah,
and it blends in with like skin tones and it helps out with the shadows and stuff like that.
that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about this big
This
old,
big one.
big Sally over here.
I got this is a
It's
Pentax
so
6-7,
beautiful.
and I just got this before I left El Salvador,
Yeah.
and I'm just bringing the show.
Yes. And have you used it yet?
Oh
Or
yeah, I definitely
yeah.
used it on some cows, some people.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. The cows with horns.
Yep. Yeah. If you see my Instagram, you can tell one of the posts is on my one of my projects I'm working on, which I'm showcasing it at the moment. It has use from the Pentax 6-7, and here
Oh
you
my
can hold it.
gosh. Look at this thing. This is so awesome. It's like seriously a piece of furniture.
Yeah.
It just has the beauty and the essence of like the era that I love
Yeah.
too, personally. So
Hmm.
I'm like, I can just see like the couch or like the
Yeah.
coffee
Oh
table
yeah.
that it sits on. But you actually use it, which is
Oh
pretty
yeah.
amazing. So now, as far as like
Mhm.
this camera's capability compared to the other film
Yeah.
camera, what's the difference?
This is a medium format camera, but it's like I like medium format a lot, but the problem with medium format for me sometimes is that just like the shots are just too low
Mm-hmm.
compared to 35 millimeter. Because like with 10 medium format, you can get 10 to 15 shots. With 35, you just get 36 shots or 24, depending on what film stock you buy. But for medium format, the scans are just nice. Like they're more detailed.
The
The
quality.
quality is just really good.
Got you.
Yeah, and it's just bigger too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, talk to me about the project you're working on.
I'm working on a project right now called A Decade Later, which is like pretty much my first time in El Salvador after 10 years. And and I I pretty much got everything all set up, all done. Did the editing, sent all the film to get developed, and I'm just releasing it on Instagram for one by one of what film stocks I used. And plus, I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but we're gonna make a scene.
Possibly make a
Yeah,
zine. It's in the works.
yeah, it's in the work.
Yeah, I like
It's in
it.
development right now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
You're one of the things about the Growing Artist
Mhm.
Project was really about like, you had kind of already started to embed
Yeah.
yourself in the community in New
Mhm.
London.
Yeah.
And I hope that like by doing this, it would just kind of like pushed you even further
Yeah.
into it.
Mhm.
So going to the Growing Artist Project, one of the things like basically the way it works is like,
Yeah.
we chose you
Mhm.
first
Thank you.
participant. Yeah, we get to choose 5 people, which is
Mhm.
cool. So if people are still interested, please apply.
Yep.
So choosing you was, first of all, it was an easy choice.
Mhm.
You kind of started to come to shows and we saw you a little bit, and then
Yeah.
after seeing your work and
Mhm.
sort of hearing your story, it really made sense because it was like you had a body of work.
Mhm.
You weren't quite sure what you were going to show, but you had ideas,
Mhm.
and you have a community of photographers, a
Yeah.
few friends that you work
Oh yeah.
with. And so it was really nice that you were already like, yeah, I'm going to include these people.
Mhm.
They're on board for the show. So it wasn't just about showcasing yourself. It
Yeah.
was also about showcasing them,
Mhm.
which is definitely contagious,
Yeah.
I
Oh
think,
yeah.
in our area. And as the Annex, we
Mhm.
currently feature over 40 different,
Yeah.
local artists. So it was super, like natural and organic for you to be like, yeah, I'm going to include other people.
Mhm.
And so, working with you, figuring out like, all right,
Yeah.
working with Danny, figuring out like, what pictures you want to show,
Mhm.
how big to
Yeah.
get them developed, how
Mhm.
big to get things printed,
Yeah.
getting things framed. We came, working with Krista as far as like coming
Mhm.
up with stickers,
Oh, yeah.
postcards.
Mhm.
We've got a lot of great New London stuff,
Yeah.
the magnets, the
Mhm.
stickers, postcards. We've got tons of prints. And then also, I think, hopefully I was also able to bring, as
Yeah.
your project consultant, kind of bring the element of curating a show,
Mhm.
and what goes into that. And we had I think we had what, like maybe 8 weeks
Yeah.
before the show,
Yep.
about right,
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
under 2 months,
Yeah.
and we were able to pull it off.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so how do you feel about your experience? What do you feel like is your, maybe things that you didn't know going in?
Yeah. I feel amazing, yeah, yeah. But there's definitely like things that like a lot of I didn't really know, like the that people people fan of like the community, turned out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Yeah. You had a great turnout.
yeah.
A great turnout.
It was amazing, Thank you for everyone that came, really appreciate y'all.
Yeah. Yeah. And featuring, let's see, you had Jen Perez Colon
Yeah,
and Eric Ortiz,
yeah,
two amazing photographers that
yep,
you work with. And
yeah.
it was great because,
Mhm,
also a big part of what we had talked about, and one of your original ideas was having
mhm.
the film strips, or
Oh, yeah.
the negatives, right?
Yeah, and the negatives, yeah.
Like, I don't want to say the
Yeah,
words wrong,
yeah.
with the light box.
Yep,
And that was really cool. And
yeah.
kind of having like this museum aspect,
Aspect, yeah,
you
like
know?
a way for people to interact with it, and see like what's presented on the negatives, and like some photos that made it on print or on the wall,
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah. And the ones that didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
And another big thing was having the photo booth.
Yeah.
So did we do it 3 times? I
Three
think we
times,
did.
three
Yeah, three
times,
times we did a
yeah.
photo booth with you guys. And I think having just that plain white
Hmm.
backdrop. I mean,
Yeah.
that for us was really cool because I
Hmm.
feel like it not only did it give people a chance to be like, kind of see themselves and
Yeah.
like be like, hey, this is, and also see the
Hmm.
community, right? It's
Yeah.
reflective.
Hmm.
But also it was super great to watch you guys work.
Yeah.
Watch you guys with the camera, like just talking to each other, the light,
Hmm.
like everything, like setting everything up is, for me personally, that was the best part, because it
Yeah.
was really great to see you guys kind of like, working with people.
Hmm.
And, even if people were a little uncomfortable, it's like they got
They got
comfortable.
comfortable, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
What do you think about doing the photo booths? How was that for you guys?
We loved it. um, it's like because sometimes if you rarely, do portraits like that, but like with that, it was like a good like grasp of like for us to get into like a different pocket
Yeah.
and like to gain like experience with like portrait work stuff like that. You know, some I know studios be expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like also like a good like as the way I look at it, for the booth is like to get people to come in, check out the annex,
Yeah.
and also to get their portrait taken, and they didn't even get charged.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think too, it's like it almost like feels
Hmm.
like maybe a little trial and error for you guys,
Yeah.
because definitely like even your pictures, even though it's like all set up the same, your pictures
Yeah.
came out different.
Yeah.
So it's like it's interesting to see your eye, like almost like everybody gets to see your
Hmm.
eyes different, like what your eye captures, what Jan's eyes capture, what
Yeah.
Eric, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
that's really interesting too.
Yeah.
And actually, so tell me about, how did you meet those guys? How did you guys kind of come about? Because you're
Yeah.
almost like a photography team.
Team, yeah. we're always hanging out. I known Eric for since like middle school, but we didn't really like start hanging out till like the pandemic. He told me he took a photography class. I seen some of his work. We both of us were like starting out around that time, and and Eric was working a lot less, like photography wise. Like he was working a lot last year, and I asked him. He was like, "Hey, you want to do a show with me?" Because I know I could do if I were to do a show alone, I could do it, but I don't want that stress.
Yeah,
And I feel
yeah,
like with the more of us, I feel like the better. And if we all work together to promote it, we can get people to come.
yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, and sometimes it's not. It's better to do it as a team than alone sometimes.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Yeah,
and and I also like I'm gonna take too much credit for it, but I also got him in the film. because but he learned on himself too.
Yeah.
He was like learning about like light exposures and stuff like that. But I definitely introduced him into that world of film.
Yeah. So you
Yeah,
guys learn together,
yeah,
experiment, bounce
hmm
ideas
yeah,
off. Yeah.
yeah. I met Jan and on Facebook. I saw his work on a photography page in Connecticut back in October, and I saw he was in Norwich, but he shot on film, and I'm a sucker for film, so so
Yeah.
I definitely like tracked him down, found his Instagram, we started talking. Then I was talking about like getting back into film, and it was like a little quiet for right now, but I'll tell you a little story. What was like the bullet that
Yeah.
got me back and that made me want to get back into film. So I went to a bar on Bank Street one night. I met this girl. Right. Okay. This is not nothing crazy, but we exchanged contacts, right?
Hmm.
And she told me that her boyfriend used to be a photographer, but he had film cameras, and so she invites me over to like her apartment, and I meet her boyfriend, and he shows me like his like gear, right? And I was like, and that, as soon as like I saw like his like Yashica, it was a medium format camera,
Hmm.
it's like one of those old school cameras, like you just like hold it, it's like a box, and you just flip it, and you just take the picture.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I was like, that's dope. So like 2 weeks or a week later, I ended up getting a Yashica.
That was it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I used that. I ended up getting that. That was like my first like my grasp into back into film photography. And ever since then,
That's it.
then
Yeah.
me and Jen hung out. He showed me. He gave me some film. He gave me a black and white roll. Very kind of him. But because we be trading roles now,
Right, right.
he's
That's so
like, I'll
funny.
give you a portrait 400, for a freaking 3200 or something.
It's like you're trading like Pokemon cards or
Yeah,
something.
or
You're
like
like,
candy.
no, you gotta get this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is where it's at. You gotta
Yeah,
try that one.
yeah. And then I asked him if he wanted to be in the show, and he said, he thought about it for a little bit, and he said, yeah.
Feels like a no-brainer to ask them, right? It's
Yeah.
like that was kind of like,
Mhm.
yeah, everything happens for a
Yeah.
reason. It's like the
Oh yeah.
power of the internet and being
Mhm.
exposed to him, and he's right there.
Yeah.
And again, it's
Mhm.
like it feels like just you learn off of each
Yeah.
other, which is really a
Mhm.
beautiful thing. And I know it's like it's inspirational to see
Yeah.
you guys like you meet up and
Mhm.
you'll meet here sometimes or we'll catch you guys
Yeah.
out there and go out
Mhm.
and do your thing. And it's a wonderful hobby to have because it just brings so much,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
again, it's like that reflection of life in the
Yeah.
community is so important.
Oh, definitely.
And we're so happy that,
Yeah.
like everything worked out and you guys had
Mhm.
a super successful show
Yeah.
and we had a good turnout for it, which is
Mhm.
great. We had a closing party and there was some other events sprinkled in between and definitely have you guys back for the photo booth
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
definitely love that.
So what do you think what do you think now? I mean, it does feel like, you've definitely gotten a little bit more embedded into the
Mhm.
community, which
Yeah.
is a good thing to hear. And
Mhm.
what do you see for like your kind of like your next steps?
More photography. I also do gotta give another credit to my good friend Jalen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jalen.
yeah. I known Jalen for a long time. But we were like I known her since we were kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also found out that like 2 years ago that she was actually my neighbor, or like her
Really?
dad was my neighbor.
You were closer than you thought.
Yeah, but you know, she gave me the idea to apply for the Growing Artist Project. But thanks to her, I gotta give her a shout out. And plus,
Absolutely.
she was like, I asked her like for like advice and stuff, and like what was I thought about like having an exhibition for a while, like since like 2 years ago. But now it came to fruition.
Yeah.
you know, like what would it be based on? What I do based on portraits, women, etc. Because a lot of last year I photographed a lot of women. Would I make it based on women and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Or would I like base it on like street photography?
Right. Like
Yeah.
are you gonna have it
Mhm.
be themed? Is it
Yeah.
gonna be about one?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Or in like what were the names? Like what I call it? The Renaissance. Because we're a bunch of film photographers. But would it make sense? Because like some of the some of the photographs that I took last year were gonna be all digital
Yeah.
on the wall, but it still looks like film though, because I edited to
Yeah,
that
because
my
now you
liking.
have that eye.
Yeah, but then but then I told her I was like, I think I'm gonna name it Stills of Life.
Yeah,
Because like for every moment you capture in life, that photograph is gonna be a still of like what's happening in life.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Jalen for
Yeah.
sure.
Shout out to
She's an
Jalen.
awesome,
She's awesome.
just supporter
Hmm.
of other artists,
Yeah.
and I think like personally, it's like, oh, you kids, like I'm the old
Yeah.
person now looking back at like you guys doing, because I remember when I was in my 20s
Hmm.
and I came to New London, and I was so inspired
Hmm.
by just the community
Yeah.
and the artists and the creatives that are here.
Hmm.
It was like nothing else.
Yeah.
So it's really rejuvenating to see that kind of happen again,
Hmm.
that it continues to happen,
Yeah.
and there's people that are inspiring each other and supporting each
Yeah.
other.
I do gotta say I'm kicking myself a little bit for missing out on Barkley Hendricks work.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jalen told me about his exhibition in Lime Arts Museum.
Yes. Yeah.
I saw it, and it was like his photography was beautiful. There's this
Yeah.
one photograph that stuck out with me because it was a good photograph. It was like two members of like from the KKK eyeing him down, right? But like I got scared looking at the
Wow.
photograph because like as soon as you lock eyes on the photograph with them, like it's like they were staring you down too.
Yeah. It's
You know,
moving.
it's yeah,
Pops
yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, I stayed there for like in a good hour,
Wow.
just like studying, plus like seeing how like things look back then too, like back on Bank Street or
Mm-hmm.
even up the street over here on State Street.
Yeah, St.
Yeah.
Broad, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's underrated how
Mhm.
much, treasure there
Yeah.
actually is here that
Yeah.
comes out of New London and New London County. And like,
Mhm.
I think it's definitely magical, and it's fantastic that it's being appreciated,
Yeah.
by everyone. And
Mhm.
and I think, in the last couple of years, New London becoming a cultural district, it's
Yeah.
like it's getting the appreciation
Mhm.
and that it deserves.
Yeah.
That's long overdue.
Yeah,
So you're
definitely.
you're a part of that movement.
Yeah.
You're a part of the cultural movement.
Mhm.
You're capturing it. uh how about some advice now that you're, big time?
Yeah, big time. I don't want to say
Do
big.
you
I'll still like compose myself,
of course, we are all
as
still
me,
learning, forever. Do you have any advice though for artists, or maybe specifically photographers or
Yeah.
people just starting out?
I said this before, but I'm saying it again. But is that don't be afraid to fail, because failures and flaws are like the greatest teachings that you can ever learn, and plus it's also a good experience. Also, like don't be afraid to be like yourself artistically. Don't like follow trends or anything like that. And yeah.
Step out of yourself. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid. Step out of what's expected,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, take risks.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's risks are like the biggest like reward that you can get out of. Yeah, some might not work, but others like it feels better than like a normal a win.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's any time that like you experienced failure that
Yeah.
kind of propelled you into the next step of your art?
Hmm. One time it was like a last minute wedding. Their photographer dropped out. He didn't like show up. so they asked me if I can do it, and I was just at work.
Yeah.
So I had to rush and stuff like that, and get ready, took the photographs, but the photographs weren't too good because like I didn't understand like how like editing like colors and stuff like that worked, and they wanted it in a short timeline, and I wasn't using like the correct software. Which like a few months, like 2 months later, I ended up like finding like a better software because I used to edit on Photoshop, but I never liked editing like how like one by one.
Hmm.
I liked and it just wasn't like convenient for me.
So like understanding the light differences
Hmm.
from photo to photo.
Photo,
And
yeah.
I mean, wedding photography, I feel
Hmm.
like is, within photography, there's
Yeah.
so many subcultures and genres of
Yeah.
like what you can do. And
Hmm.
wedding photographer being
Yeah.
like very specific
Yeah.
can be.
Hmm.
It's like, and that's like, you know it's good. It's like you had that experience,
Yeah.
you kind of
Mhm.
feel like you failed at it, but
Yeah.
you learned so
But oh
much,
yeah,
and
definitely.
the reality is like the homework that goes into
Mhm.
like the pre-work,
Yeah.
right? The pre-work that goes into
Yeah.
photography, you kind of realize that it's like,
Mhm.
oh no, you can't say, somebody asks you that, you can't say yes
Yeah.
without being
Yeah.
like, what do you want? What is
Mhm.
your goal here?
Yeah.
Like there's all these like sort of the questionnaire,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I don't beat myself too much of after about it because like
Yeah,
now it goes like I got experience, I
exactly.
because ever since then, it wasn't like over, like it wasn't the end of like my photography career,
Yeah.
you know. I just like I took the beating, got back up, and started doing my thing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're better for it.
Yeah.
You're better
Oh
for it.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for being
Mhm.
here and
Yeah.
being our first participant.
Yeah.
You took a chance on us
Yeah.
because this is our first time.
Mhm.
It's interesting because the Growing Artist Project is something more or less. It's kind of what we already do,
Yeah.
but it's like within just our
Mhm.
community. So inviting a new artist that we didn't really know that well in
Yeah.
was kind of like, okay, well, hopefully we don't like mess it up for
Nah.
them and
Nah.
like make sure like we do all the
Yeah.
things that we want to do. And,
Mhm.
we're super stoked to have you be,
Yeah.
infinitely a part of the Annex team. And,
Mhm.
hopefully, next year you'll curate,
I
your
would
show
love
on
to.
your own and we'll always support you and be there
Yeah.
for you as an artist.
I
So thank
appreciate
you.
that.
We
Yeah.
appreciate you. Yes. The Growing Artist Project is going on at the Annex still. You can apply online on our website, theannexnl.com. We're looking for artists of all backgrounds, all levels. We're just looking for somebody who might have a good idea and want to throw it to the wind and learn more about their art with us together. So yeah, thank you. Stop by the Annex. We're at 140 State Street, New London, Connecticut. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 12 to 7 p.m. and Sunday, 12 to 5. Also, there's like a crap load of things going on this summer, so in New London, so please look out. Go to our website. We've got it up there. Cultural Coalition, Cultural District, New London Cultural District.com, all that stuff. So yeah, we'll see you soon. Thank you.